For at the core of your being, behind all the learned teachings and external influences, lies within you a deep well of wisdom, a portal to the cosmos, to the connection of your very soul and spirit essence. This is what it is to understand. Hello, my sweet, beautiful souls, and welcome back. Today, we are going to be talking all about innerstanding, and this is I believe, such powerful topic for us to really understand, because a lot is shifting, as we all know, and this is honestly a word that I had never heard before, and then it came into my awareness from every single direction. So I really wanted to talk about this on here with you guys, because I think that our society collectively, we're really shifting from a more masculine, sciencey based approach to a lot of things, to a more feminine, flowy. And this is where, and again, we need both. We need both. And it's not boy or girl, man or woman. It's these energies that are within us. And as our society is kind of shifting into this more feminine, um, I've talked about this a lot before. Just science and our really just these views that we have of science are really becoming outdated. Because what is science? Science is what we know right here and now, and it's shifting a lot. And this is where I believe this topic of understanding is so in the forefront right now, because I think we have collectively wanted to understand things with our minds, with our logical brain. It's not even the mind, it's the brain. Because what is the brain but a receiver for the mind? And the brain, while an incredible tool, and really we couldn't live this 3D human experience without it, but this idea of just only logic, and that we can figure things out. And when it comes to understanding, this isn't something that this bypasses the brain completely, because it's not a knowing with the brain, but it's a knowing. And it's just so funny because I've shared with you guys on here quite a few times, as far as this wisdom. Whenever I learn something, and and like I feel it so deeply, it feels like remembering. It doesn't feel like I'm learning. It feels like I'm remembering something. And interestingly enough, I actually had this experience just this past weekend. As you all know, I love to go into nature, and as I was talking with a friend who is also a projector, if you're not into human design, realizing that going into nature is just like, it's literally a way for me to discharge all of the energies that I believe I have, that are just so easy to feel when you live in a city, when you're around a lot of people. So being in nature for me is like, it's where I'm like, come home. I come home and remember who I am. And that's when I always have my best downloads and talks with spirit and my guides and my soul. And yeah, just a really special time. And as I was listening to Gene Keys on my drive, which I love how, all side note, like I've had so many of you guys start getting interested in Gene Keys. I've actually been doing readings, which I never thought that I would be doing, but they're so fun. It's literally like the roadmap to your soul. Um, and I love it. I love it because sharing this wisdom, I mean, I'm by no means trained in this, but I've taken their retreats and have studied it so extensively that like I feel pretty confident in illuminating this wisdom now for others. So, but of course, I'm still always a student, which I actually don't think anyone. I mean, even the creator Richard Rudd, he's still learning and flowing and growing with them. So it's really not something that we ever like figure out. It's a never-ending contemplation. So, anyways, as I was listening to the Gene Keys, I had this moment of listening to one of my keys where it's in the audiobook, and one line was said that struck me so profoundly and so deeply that I literally it's like happening to me now. I like literally lost my breath and started crying. And this is understanding. This was remembering for me. And then after I like really let myself have this moment of this deep remembering, I heard my soul and my spirit say to me, just forgot, just forgot. And you had to forget in order to come into the depths of remembering. That's what understanding is. It's a deep understanding within the body. And as I was thinking about, I'm going to also be reading a channeled message from my guides because I wanted to see their perspective as well. But as I was thinking about these words, let's like just break it down for a second. Understanding versus understanding. So if you're understanding, so you're under where you're standing. So one could say that if you are under where you're standing, you could look up so that you know what you're looking at. You're under where you're standing. Okay. And again, this is totally just my interpretation and how I've been seeing it. You're understanding. You're no longer under. You have come within. Your inner standing. You're inside. And so then when we go even deeper, well, how do we understand? With the body. We understand with the body. And this is where we get to utilize and harness this beautiful vessel that we have been given, that we have chosen to tap into greater, deeper wisdom. Because it is through this body temple that we get to feel and that we get to come to deeper truths and awarenesses and really so much of our spiritual experience is only amplified via the body. And so when it comes to understanding too, this really is relevant for every area of our lives, whether it's our spiritual experience, our health, our businesses, our relationships. If you're with a person and they tell you one thing and you understand what they're saying, but you understand how they're making you feel, it's two completely different things. It's two completely different things. And if you can understand how someone makes you feel, I believe that carries a whole lot more charge and weight and resonance than just understanding what they're saying. Understanding is the deeper layers. And I think this is also really relevant when it comes to health. So, for myself, I know that for many years, I mean, I became a nutritionist. Like, I did the science thing for a long time, and I still think there's time and a place for it. It's not like we just need to toss it out. Um, but if we don't have the deeper spiritual, energetic foundation, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. There's no foundation to any of the science. And I believe, I'm sure tried and true science people will definitely dispute me on that, and that's fine. And this is my own wisdom and my own truth. And everyone has their own, which my guides definitely said in this channel message that I'm going to be reading. We all have our own truths, but when it comes to health and healing, for myself, for so many years, I just wanted to know why. Like, why do I have these issues? Why do I have these gut issues? Why do I have the skin issues, the eczema, like the problems with my like all of these weird things that I was getting? Why? Well, like I just wanted to know why. Because I thought that if I knew why, then I would heal it. It's actually a misperception. We don't need to know why. Which was such a mind F for me to realize, oh, you don't even have to know. Maybe one day I'll know. But it wasn't really until I surrendered needing to know that all of a sudden I received the answers and healing and support and resources. And I'm still on my journey. I'm still on my journey of discovering and uncovering and embodiment of this vessel so that I can fully experience her and life through this vessel. I'm still on that journey. I don't I actually don't know if I know anyone who's 100% embodied and fully just I believe that there's always more. There's always more. But I have come so far. And I'm telling you, like, I really think that a huge catalyst in that was surrendering my need to know. Like, and I share this with so much this is gonna step on some people's toes, but this has been my biggest problem with traditional therapy is that we think we know because we're dialoguing with the conscious mind. And again, everything is 95% of things are subconscious. So below the surface that we don't know with our conscious mind. So when I was going to traditional talk therapy, we were just talking about what I thought was the problem forever. And it was just like hitting the wound over and over again. Do I think we need to talk about our problems? Absolutely. Do I think that addressing the same problem, what we think is the problem over and over is really the key to our healing? No, I don't. And again, traditional therapy has a time and a place. And I actually think this is also a thing. I don't think I ever had the right therapist, maybe. I know there's some great therapists. But I do think that a lot of the work is deeper. It's subconscious, it's somatic, it's understanding with our inner standing in the body. Because again, traditional therapy, it's like just the brain, like just thinking our way. Whereas subconscious work, somatic work, it's coming inside the body and it's having the understanding. Okay. And the understanding can be very different. I'm like processing some of this as I'm sharing with you guys. Um, so like some of these things are just coming to me because I think that understanding is the process of um bypassing the mind and letting the body lead. Bypassing the mind and letting the body lead. Because the brain will continue to try and tell us and justify and explain to us and create why and explanations. But it will also continue to create more problems and more things for us to solve. That's its job. Whereas when we can come into the body and simply feel the felt experience, we know such a deeper layer than the brain can really give us. And I think that this is actually a great segue to read the channel message from my guides because they spoke to some things that I believe were very, very relevant and were also illuminating for me to hear as well. So yeah, let's dive into that. And my preface with all channeled information, always use discernment with channeled information, with any information. What resonates, amazing. What doesn't, totally fine. Also remember, you drew this to you. This is your wisdom as well. And also there are many layers. It's a vibration as well. It's an understanding as well. So especially with this message, I invite you to really feel what feels like truth. You don't need to understand it all with the mind, but just simply receive the words and the frequency with them. All right. Here we go. Innerstanding. A culmination of the knowledge and wisdom that you have built throughout the years, lovingly released, so that you may now get to the core. For at the core of your being, behind all the learned teachings and external influences, lies within you a deep well of wisdom, a portal to the cosmos, to the connection of your very soul and spirit essence. This is what it is to understand. To come into deeper trust of your body vessel, freeing it from the programming and conditioning, from labels, from altruistic desires, and instead feeling into what is true for you. For what is true? But the perception which one chooses to hold. That is simply all. A deep inner knowing, guided by faith, guided by the divine, guided by love. For if it is in alignment with love, it is in alignment with truth. And this is a unique experience to which each individual must come to know only through deeply feeling into the body, into the core and essence of your very nature. To understand is to let go of judgment of others, truths, and perceptions. For you see it all as simply another's experience of their truth, of another's truth, creating reality around them, unique and perfect for them and their experience. When each person's own experience can simply be lovingly witnessed, you now hold the key to unlocking the door to your own truth. For it is not others' perception and truths from the basis of which you hold yours. They simply act as vibrational reminders of how close or far away you are to the truth of your knowing. For as you hear, feel, and witness another, you have the opportunity to feel what this feels like for you into your own wisdom well. This process takes refinement, practice, and fine-tuning. For many forces will use subtle or overt hypnosis to guide you into their truths and beliefs. Stay the course, dear one. Set the intention that you come into knowing your wisdom and your illumination. Continually come back to the body, back to the breath, back to your source. Allow yourself to be deeply nourished by Source, by Mother Earth, by the cosmos, by the subtle frequencies of the Creator that are here to support you. You can never truly lose your way, dear soul. You will always have the opportunity to remember. And that is what this life is all about. Remembering who you truly are. So I just invite you to breathe that in. There's so much here. I almost feel like I can't even do it justice to try and break it down. I would really just invite you to listen again. And one thing I did want to share when I was receiving the message was, well, first of all, judgment, right? How many layers can come up about that? I feel like judgment is one of our deepest collective core wounds. Judging another person and their experience, judging their circumstances, good or bad. They're only good or bad because we say they are. What we might deem as another person's bad could be good for them, and vice versa. And so it's really letting go of judgment, because it's not right or wrong. It's perfect for them and their experience. And it's like literally in doing that, we call back our power. And like they said, like that is the key to unlocking our wisdom. And I get it. Like, I really do believe that it is one of the most important things that we can do is to release judgment. And I don't think it's an overnight thing. I've spent years and years, because it's deep programming within us. It's deep programming within us to judge others. And we do this. This is, again, goes back to the brain, seeking safety, seeking to fit in. Like, this is literally a tribal ancestral pattern, like wanting to fit in, wanting to not be neglected by the tribe. Okay, so have grace in your releasing of judgment. But the other thing is, when we do see our fellow brothers and sisters, so what they were showing me is it's like bumper cars almost, or like out at sea, like the buoys, like whatever analogy you prefer. It's like they're they're kind of like keeping us in check almost. So like when we see someone that is doing something that like makes us feel good, it's like, oh, like that resonates. That's keeping me back to continue going to find my truth. Whereas if like someone just has something like way off course, it's like, oh, that is really not in alignment with my truth at all. So it's like other people can serve as simply just like reminders of how close is that to the vibration of my true essence. Because we all are going to have different experiences and different vibrations in which we experience. And so learning our own unique expression is the key. It's what we came here to do. And again, it's not learning, it's remembering, it's understanding. Understanding. Coming to the deep wisdom well within us. And like they said, there's a lot of hypnosis, good and bad. I'm a hypnotherapist and I help hypnotize people for their greatest good, but there's a lot of societal, not great hypnosis. I don't want to say it too loudly. There's a lot of societal, not great hypnosis. So always be discerning who you're allowing to hypnotize you. And I'm going to just share like one example because I think that it's very relevant. I believe, and I was just thinking about this the other day, as I was talking to someone who was sharing, they were sharing to me their results that they got from their doctor. And I was like, wow, this system has been set up in such a way that truly hypnotizes people. It's this programming of we go in and we do it a certain way, and then we see the person, and even like many of the environments, the walls, the white coats, like all of these things are sending subliminal messages to us that they are in charge and we are not. But my friend, you are the only person in charge of your body. And so while others can be amazing guides and give us illumination to our bodies, ultimately no one can heal you other than you. And the same goes for everything, for a relationship. No one can tell you what is in your greatest truth. Who is in your greatest truth but you? And no one can discover that. And on our spiritual experiences and journeys, like I believe that one of the biggest things keeping people from being channels and more intuitive is simply their own comparison, which goes back to judgment of comparing their experience with another. So they think that because one person that they heard on a podcast or on a YouTube video or on in a book or on Instagram or TikTok or whatever talks about it this way, I have to experience it that way. Says who? That's that person's experience. And I believe that that is one of the biggest things holding people back from ascension and growth and spiritual development is just comparing themselves and their journey and their experience. Your journey and experience is so perfect for you. And once you can embrace that, your spiritual gifts, your psychic senses, they will open up so wide. They will amplify because now you're living in your truth. You've tapped into your inner wisdom well, and you've come into greater understanding of yourself. Because that's what understanding is. It is understanding thyself. And everything else around you is simply eliciting from you what you need to know. So is there maybe a time and a place for understanding? Yes. Understanding helps us. Again, I see it as the masculine and feminine. To understand, we need to understand some things. I need to understand how to drive a car. I need to understand that. It probably wouldn't help me too much to just understand that. Okay. So this isn't like a right or wrong, good or bad thing. Like there's a time and a place. I need to understand how to do certain things. There's certain things we need to understand how to do. But to really grow spiritually, emotionally, this is where the understanding comes in. We really want to make the leaps and bounds. It's going to be through our understanding and through using the body as a parameter and measurement of our experience and to create our experience. Because if something doesn't feel good, we were able to understand that. Okay, don't like that. Let's redirect. That didn't feel in alignment to me. That must not be my inner truth. Thank you for that feedback. Because everything's just feedback. It's all feedback. It's all feedback. And so if you're receiving things that you don't like, thank the universe. Because you're receiving feedback and clarification and refinement to now what you do want. What amazing feedback, right? And what an amazing opportunity to now create what you do want. And I just feel like the best way to end this is with the very last little bit that they said. You can never truly lose your way, dear soul, for you will always have the opportunity to remember. And that is what this life is all about. Remembering who you truly are. And so with that, my loves,